You're scrolling through photos and you see it. A person and their dog who literally have the same vibe, same facial expression, same body language, even the same slightly skeptical look in their eyes. It's not always obvious, but when you see it, you can't unsee it. Some pets don't just live with their owners, they start to become them. Why does this happen with certain people and not others? Turns out, it starts the moment you choose your pet. And psychologists say it's driven by something called emotional contagion. Your moods, routines, and nervous system literally sync up over time until you're both moving through the world the same way. To understand why pets so often resemble their owners, you have to look at how we choose them, how they shape us, and how we slowly become a shared ecosystem of habits, emotions, and unspoken stories. Because the truth is, you don't just own a pet, you co-create a personality with them. It actually starts before the pet ever enters your home. When you choose an animal, out of all the faces, all the wagging tails, all the blinking eyes, you're not picking at random. Psychologists call this assortative matching, our tendency to be drawn to others who are similar to us in looks, energy, or temperament. We do it with friends, with partners, and yes, with pets too. You look at a row of puppies, and something in you moves toward the one that feels like you. The nervous one crouched in the back, or the chaotic one bouncing against the glass. You might say, I just had a feeling. But that feeling is your nervous system scanning for familiarity. Familiarity feels safe. Even when we say, I want a dog that'll get me outside more, we're still picking within our own orbit. The introvert doesn't suddenly bring home a hyper-social working dog who needs constant stimulation. Not really. They might say they will, but when the moment comes, their hand usually reaches for the gentler, softer one. You're not just choosing an animal, you're choosing a mirror. Psychologists talk about projection, how we see parts of ourselves in others, sometimes without realizing it. With pets, projection is almost effortless. We can't ask them who they are, so we read them through our own emotional language. We say, he's shy, she's dramatic, he has trust issues, in ways that suspiciously echo our own histories. This isn't delusion, it's how the bond forms. The moment you name some trait in your pet, she's protective, he doesn't trust strangers, he needs reassurance. You're not just describing them, you're outlining the blueprint of the relationship. Over time, that blueprint becomes real life. One of the most powerful forces shaping this is emotional contagion, the automatic spreading of emotion from one being to another. It happens between humans, but it also happens between humans and animals. Your pet doesn't understand all your words, but it absolutely understands your energy, your tension, your calm, your habits of reacting. Dogs, in particular, are experts in social referencing. They look to their humans to decide how to feel about a situation. If you stiffen when a stranger approaches, your dog learns strangers equal danger. If you greet the world with curiosity, they learn the world is mostly safe. Cats do it in their own way too. They watch the rhythm of the house, the volume of your voice, the way you handle change. If every unexpected sound stresses you out, don't be surprised when your cat starts bolting under the bed at every minor disturbance. Your nervous system becomes their weather report. Over months and years, this emotional echo can become synchrony. Your moods, your routines, even your reactions quietly lining up. You get more anxious, your pet becomes clingier. You become calmer, your pet rests more easily. It's not magic, it's co-regulation, two nervous systems learning to find stability together. But there's another layer. It's not just that pets absorb us, we absorb them too. Psychologists talk about self-expansion, the idea that close relationships become part of how we define ourselves. We don't just say, I have a dog. We say, I'm a dog person. That tiny shift in language matters. The pet slides from object to identity. Your animal becomes part of your story. She's the reason I got through that breakup. He's why I started going outside again. Once a pet becomes part of your identity, something subtle happens. You start unconsciously aligning with them. You lean into the qualities you've assigned to the bond. If your dog is brave, you feel braver walking with him at night. If your cat is independent, you feel more justified in your own need for space. If your pet is gentle, you become softer in their presence. Psychologists studying human-animal attachment have found that this bond mirrors the attachment styles we see between parents and children. But it doesn't just reveal who you already are, it shapes who you become. You and your pet slowly negotiate a shared personality, a middle point between your temperament and theirs. Of course, we can't talk about resemblance without talking about the thing everyone jokes about. Do pets actually look like their owners? Strangely, yes. Research has found that people can match dogs to their owners based on looks more accurately than chance. We tend to choose dogs whose size, facial structure, even vibe fit ours. This isn't vanity, it's visual familiarity bias. We're drawn to patterns we already know, our own proportions, level of neatness or chaos, even how expressive or reserved a face seems. Your pet becomes an external version of your inner world. The hypervigilant dog who barks at every sound might be the fur version of your over-alert nervous system. The relaxed cat sunbathing all day might be the external permission slip for the rest you never allow yourself. And sometimes, the resemblance is a rebellion. You're chaotic, your pet is steady. You're fearful, your pet is fearless. In that case, they're not a mirror, they're a counterweight. But even that still fits your psychology. We often seek in others what we lack, then slowly shift toward it. Underneath all this is one more powerful mechanism: anthropomorphism. Our tendency to give animals human thoughts, motives, and personalities. We say, he's judging me, she's offended, when objectively, we don't really know. But this isn't a flaw in our thinking as much as it is a doorway. Anthropomorphism is how we build a bridge where language can't reach. We're not just describing them, we're revealing ourselves. What we choose to see in our pets often reflects what we're sensitive to in people. If you've always feared abandonment, you see neediness everywhere. If you've always felt responsible for others, you notice every sign your pet might be upset. We think we're decoding them, but we're often decoding ourselves. This is part of why some people say their pet knows them better than anyone, because in the silence of that relationship, there's nowhere to hide. Still, pets have their own temperaments, their own histories, their own nervous systems, shaped by genetics and experience. The beauty is in the overlap, that narrow band of reality where their nature and your nature meet. Somewhere between your projections and their instincts, something real grows. A shared language, a shared pace, a shared world. You learn their tells, the micro twitch of an ear, the specific kind of meow, the weight of a paw on your leg that means, stay here. They learn yours, the way your breathing changes when you're upset, the way you close the laptop when you're finally ready to play. Psychologists call this attunement, the ongoing, moment-by-moment tracking of another being's internal state. With pets, it's wordless, but no less real. There's also a quieter angle to all this. Pets often become the one place where people allow themselves to be emotionally honest. You might hold yourself together all day, but when you walk through the door and your dog greets you or your cat jumps onto your lap, something in you drops the performance. You're tired, you're soft, you're real. And because your pet doesn't argue or judge in human ways, your nervous system slowly associates them with a rare kind of emotional safety. Safety changes behavior. When you feel safe enough, you cry, you laugh, you talk to them in a voice no one else hears. Over time, that safe version of you, the one who's less guarded, starts to show up more. And who's always there recording that version? Your pet. So when people say, "He's just like me," they may be saying something deeper. That animal hasn't just adapted to your personality, they've witnessed the truest version of it. All of this comes with a certain ache, because the more intertwined your lives become, the more it hurts to remember that their timeline is shorter. Maybe that's part of why the resemblance feels so intense. It's not just grief when they go. It's the loss of a version of yourself that only existed fully with them. If you're one of those people who share a strange resemblance with your pet, you don't have to be embarrassed by it. Your pet is not just an animal. They are a psychological bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. They're the way your nervous system learned a different rhythm. They're not only similar to you, they've helped rewrite you. So the next time someone says you and your dog are exactly the same, you can smile knowingly. In a world that rushes us, pets slow us down. They remind us that resemblance isn't just about genetics or looks. It's about shared time, shared safety, shared being. You might not always fit with other people, but there's a creature who has quietly learned to move like you, feel with you, and carry a piece of your inner world in their small, beating heart. And that isn't accidental. That's the psychology of love, written in fur and eyes and quiet habits. You were never meant to be separate stories anyway.